perspective?
Sure. I appreciate being here too, and of course, we live and breathe it 24/7 at my place, so I appreciate the report. At the Chattanooga Housing Authority, we've engaged in a number of different initiatives to try to achieve what you're trying to do without ordinances. And let me just give you a little sampling of what we're doing. We just agreed to be part of a pilot program that would enable us to raise voucher payment standards. So the quote from Yolanda is well taken a year ago. But we just agreed to be part of a pilot program that allows us to set the voucher payment standards by zip code. So it gives our folks who are in the voucher program more choice. Actually, in some of the zip codes, it's raised the voucher payment standard, which, for those of you who don't work with it every day, is the maximum amount that you can pay for rent and utilities, up to $1,300 or $1,400 in some zip codes. So we are trying to implement that policy provided by HUD to allow people to be able to move anywhere in the community and have access to some nice neighborhoods. Secondly, we are trying to cobble together funds to produce more affordable housing. And we're doing that every way we can. HUD is not giving us the money that we were given before, so we're pulling together various sources. In our most recent new development, Maple Hills, we had to use 4 different sources of funding to get an $8 million development built, which is tough because it's regulatorily difficult to manage it after that because you have 4 different sets of rules. That's what we're trying to do. With regard to Dogwood Manor, we don't own Dogwood Manor, but what we're doing there is we're acquiring Dogwood Manor and trying to turn it into public housing so that we will be able to preserve 136 units of public housing and free up 116 vouchers under the voucher program, the Housing Trust Voucher Program. With regard to the overall available housing units, I prepared a presentation for City Council in March of 2012, and I hadn't really looked at these numbers before, but I went back to the year 2000, which is just around the time that we started pulling down Macaulay homes. And I counted all the public housing units that had been taken down and raised, and I compared it to the number of vouchers that came into being. And at the end of the day, from 2000 to March of 2012, we were actually able to create an additional, I think it was 167 new low-income housing opportunities. Now, did we create more public housing? Absolutely not. But there were actually a net gain in housing opportunities. And in terms of our plans for the future, in our annual plan, agency plan that we shared recently, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding around it. And I'd just like to take a second to talk about that. 2013 is to bring together a team of people, architects, engineers, city planners, the RPA, the city folks, the tenants, and try to do some active planning around College Hill and in St. Louis. There is no preconceived notion at this point of where we're going to land after this planning process, contrary to what you shared tonight. There is nothing that's saying that these units are on the block. We want to be smart. I don't want to see us 5 or 6 years from now having to board up developments and actually losing subsidized housing opportunities without being smart and thinking proactively about how do we raise the money, how do we get people to be able to be people of low and moderate income, yet have good, decent housing in the urban core. So although I think that we, from the Housing Authority, share many of the interests that this group shares, I just don't have one way to resolve it. I think we're going to do it really well.
I think everybody could agree with you from their perspective. It's a complicated issue.